This is a topic that you okay. A brother of mine texted me since my last video. So instead of me going to this guy's video and writing out what do you want to call it? Writing out and quoting a whole bunch of scripture on this, I just decided I'll just do a quick video about it. So, are we allowed to have more than one wife? You know, the Mormons think like that, but also the Black Hebrew Israelites think like that as well. A lot of them do. I've run into it many times, and they're using things in the Old Testament well, first of all, Jacob had four wives. You know, Abraham was given Hagar to wife as well, and that's how they had Ishmael. All right, so God doesn't have a problem with this. He doesn't have a problem with it as long as you're not in captivity and under the rule of your government. Now, a deacon of a church is to have one wife. There was a specific detail. But if you're living in a place like, say, you're living in, let's just say, Afghanistan, and you're a believer and you keep the Holy Covenant and you have three wives, which I think is acceptable in the Muslim culture. So they're not breaking any laws in the Muslim societies. If they choose to convert, are they to divorce their wives because the Christian doctrine says that you can't have more than one wife? It's not Christian doctrine that says that you're not. It's the government that says you're not. Okay? And when you live in your captivity, you're under the rule of the government. You have to obey their laws without breaking God's. That's the difference. So, is it wrong for a man to have more than one wife? No. In this culture, it is. In this culture, you're not allowed to. I'm not allowed to have two wives, and one wife is enough as it is. But when people are in error, you pull out their errors, and then you can see if you're going to start believing along the lines of the BHI or Mormonism, they're not respecting the rules that they're under and the authority that they're under. Therefore, that makes them false just in that. If we were living in the land of Israel, especially in the days, well, obviously you can have more than one wife. King David had more than one wife. Solomon had more than one wife, but kings were told specifically, so they have specific rules to kings, and the rules to kings were that they didn't have too many. Well, Solomon went and turned into a greedy pig, you know, and that caused him to err, you see. So, but it's not unlawful for men to have more than one wife. Otherwise, Jacob wouldn't have had four wives, and he wouldn't have had 12 sons, and I think just one daughter. I can't, maybe there was more than one daughter, but one that I can think of that I can remember right now. So Diana or something like that. So it's just when what people don't understand is that when they're under captivity, they're submissive to the governments because they have the spirit of God in them to understand this and to be well, that goes into the Romans 13 concept and the Jude concept and the first or second Peter concept about even speaking evil against your government. So I'm just doing a quick little blurb to give to my brother so that he can see this and he didn't feel that he was up for the the debate with this guy, but it's part of their lies in the BHI. It's part of the lies, you know. If you are living in America or Canada or the UK, then you follow their marriage laws, you know. That's the rule that you're under, and you are not allowed to have more than one wife in this culture. So that's the way it goes. If you do not listen to your government and you disobey, then you are not obeying God, because God put us in the captivity to teach us that what was the lesson of even being in the captivity of the heathen governments is that his ways are a lot more easy, a lot better than the ways of the heathen. So learn not the ways of the heathen, otherwise he gives you up to them. And that's what happens. That's where we are until he brings us all back to the land. And and that will be the way it goes. And then it'll be under. He's going to teach everybody the law. At that point, they're all of the children of the servants are going to understand the law, and they're going to learn the law, and they're going to be grounded in the law, and that's the fulfillment. That's why the pre-trib rapture church is a bunch of nonsense, because they're not catching on that they're going to be going to Mount Zion when it ascends to, or descends to earth. So, you know, these guys, part of their doctrine, especially in the BHI, is they put forward that they can have more than one wife because of their nature, the wickedness in their own heart. you know they can't hear the law. you know they claim that they're the true Israelites, but they can't even hear the law. So it's just, it's ridiculous. They're very rebellious. They're out there shouting, and some of them are even making people lick their boots, and they don't even understand what Isaiah 49 is even talking about. you know and besides, they got the whole instruction all wrong anyways, about, or the inheritance of wrong. They're what they are is actually, they're acting like the Canaanites, trying to steal Shem's inheritance. That's what Canaanites did from Ham. Ham's not all Ham, very few in comparison, but just that one specific spiritual condition of the people of Africa try to steal the inheritance of Shem, and that's why it was called the land of Canaan, the Canaanites. And they receive a curse for that, an everlasting curse for what they did. And they have 2 times they get that curse, or a different curse. And that's in one place is in Jubilees chapter 10, another place is in Genesis chapter 8, at the second half of that chapter. So that's just part of their false doctrine. So no, you cannot have more than one wife. If you were living in the land, if you were living in a land that allowed it, then yeah, it's okay. But if you're a pastor or a deacon of a church, biblically, you're to only have one. But that's why even in the New Testament, it's specifically telling you that to only have one wife, to be a deacon. All right. If you're not a deacon, it's not saying that you're not allowed to. But when you're living in a place where you're not allowed to, you have to adhere to the rules of the land that you're in. Otherwise, you're being disobedient to God. And as it turns out, God already wrote his book, and he has us all placed here in North America, or in the UK, or in wherever we are. And he already knew what their laws are going to be, and we're supposed to adhere to their laws. And that's what we do. It's already a shambles and a mess. So what are these guys doing? They're just trying to create a harem. That's in their hearts to do. That's what they want. It's not about procreating and so on and so forth. It's not about building, an empire. It's not about, building a sheepfold and building, getting land and having your children work that land and build your homestead and stuff like that. It's not what it's all about for them. What they want is a piece of tail all the time. That's all they're thinking of. That's why they're like that. So, okay, that's their motive.